Good morning, viewers in India and abroad. I have a very special person, Professor Debashish Banerji from California Institute of Integral Studies. And today we're going to talk about his recent book, Time Steps of the Cosmic Horse, which is based on Brihadarankya Upanishad, and also that correlates with Mother and Sri Aurobindo's fundamental ideas about evolution and involution. So, Debashish, if you can give us a context of how this book came about and your present project in your institute as well to start off with.
Thank you, Joy. Um, to start with my context, I'm teaching at the California Institute of Integral Studies, a university in San Francisco, which was started by a disciple of Sri Aurobindo, Haridas Choudhury, and it's a fully accredited university now. He started it as an Asian Studies university. The idea was to introduce the contemplative traditions of Asia as something that can make a difference in the modern world. In other words, something that can create a transformation that has not happened due to the modern age and its epistemological foundations. Let's just put it like that. I'm interested in the work of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother and applying it to our times. Uh, and also, I'm interested in modernity studies in uh, postmodernism and posthumanism and how they relate to the project of Sri Aurobindo and the Mother. So, this leads me to the Upanishads. That is one of the bodies of text that I've been interested in for quite some time. And there's a variety of reasons for that, but the major reason is that my studies into the early culture of India convinces me that there is a interesting gap between the Vedas and the Upanishads. And that gap has come about due to the way in which the Vedas were interpreted to make a certain kind of a society that was fossilized, that became the basis of what we today find as the caste system and the creation of a social symbol in which individuals don't have any um, personal subjectivity. Individuals only have roles, they play roles. And so, out of that kind of a system, which was maintained by certain classes, in this case Brahmanas and Kshatriyas, in collusion with each other, a new class of texts arises that we know as the Upanishads. And Upanishad literally means to sit near.
Yes.
So it isn't Veda, even in the way in which these bodies of texts announce themselves. They call themselves something which is revelatory of their intent. And so Veda means that it's declaring itself to be knowledge, because Veda means knowledge, to know. And so it is in that sense scripture. In other words, it is that which is to be taken as knowledge, as so to say, God-given knowledge. Now, God-given knowledge is something interesting and a little different from when we say that the Ten Commandments are God-given knowledge, for example.
You mean the theological texts?
Yes. So what happens with most religions is that they have a bedrock which is considered to be sacrosanct because it is revealed knowledge. It is the word of God. And usually it is given in some form which is outside of the human. So, for example, the commandments are written on a rock.
Yes.
So similarly, these are the ways in which revealed knowledge comes. But the Veda, though it considers itself to be sacrosanct knowledge, is declared to be inhuman in some sense because it's impersonal. because the term that's used for it is apaurushaya. Apaurushaya means not by any person. Uh, but at the same time, there are 10 books or mandalas of the Veda. Each one is attributed to a rishi or a family of rishis.
Yes.
So these seers, what is their status? That is the interesting part. It's unauthored, authored by no person, impersonal,
Anonymous.
anonymous. At the same time, there is a particular named person to each of the books. So in any case, I'm bringing this up because that opens up an entire area of understanding scripture. The Veda is really something that is received by preparing oneself. In other words, it is aspiring to a zone of knowledge that is impersonal.
Right.
But the person prepares oneself to embody that zone.
Yeah. So authorship goes away. I mean, the author is dead. You can.
Yeah, in a way, yes. So that is one way of looking at it, but by the time we are talking about, say, the 10th century BC, we find that there is a fossilization of society based on an interpretation of Veda that later the Mimamsakas hold that interpretation.
Correct.
Which is that Veda is impersonal in the sense that it is meaningless. By meaningless, I mean that don't try to understand the Veda.
Yeah.
Only perform the Veda. So the idea is that the words themselves are sacrosanct. They are the words of God. And so the only way in which we can approach them is to use them in rituals.
Yes.
And so that becomes the understanding of Veda as knowledge texts.
Right.
So out of that kind of a tradition, we find a new type of text that is arising called Upanishad. And Upanishad again declares itself in its name. So Upanishad means to sit near.
Yeah.
And the very notion of sitting near has a certain relationship with the notion of knowledge, because to sit near is intimate knowledge.
Sit near to the truth.
Yeah, to sit near to the truth, to sit near to the source of truth.
Yes.
In other words, you have an individuality there.
Yeah.
You are reading a text, you are interpreting a text. So you as an individual sitting near the truth is receiving your own version of the truth. You see, so that is in a way, and the two most important innovations of the Upanishad are the concepts of Brahman and Atman. Atman firstly is individual. It's the permanent self, the idea of the permanent self.
Yes.
And Brahman is absolute reality.
Yes.
So these two categories that in the Veda there was no Atman in the Veda. Actually, the word does occur a few times, but where it occurs in the Veda, it is obscure and it means breath, the inner wind of breath. And how exactly Upanishad is utilizing that meaning, but it's giving it a much more profound philosophical status.
Absolutely.
And Brahman also occurs in the Veda, and particularly through the notion of the word. You see, so there is Brahman is related to a god Brahmanaspati, who later becomes Brahma. Brahmanaspati, Brahma is called Brahmanaspati because he is the Pati or Lord of Brahman. And Brahman over here is the word. So again, in the Mimamsaka sense of things, the unauthored texts, the Veda, the actual author of them is Brahma, or the creator, so to say, who has given these.
So, do you find any link up with later what we read in St. John's Gospel? In the beginning was the Word, and the
Yeah.
Word was with God, and the Word was God.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So this is exactly, this is exactly the Veda has to be understood sort of like that. The Brahman is in that sense the word. But by the time we come to the Upanishad, they are trying to take it out of the clutches of the people who are interpreting the word to be the scripture.
Correct.
See? And so, if we have to understand the word is really the logos,
Logos.
the divine sense of things,
Yes.
and the logos again is not something that is fixed that we have to obey. It's not an origin copy system as in Plato, for example. uh, the logos is the idea that is immanent and manifesting through our participation in the world.
Engagement.
Engagement, right. So, Upanishads, in that sense, is something which is talking about Brahman as absolute reality, not as some word or some kind of writing. It's changing the philosophical context of Brahman, and it's saying that this Brahman can be known by you because it has become you,
Yes.
and its self individuation is you as Atman, is
Yes.
you as person. So it's these two innovations that Upanishads introduces that make it really important in our time, because we are not living in a Vedic society, but we are also living in a conditioned society.
Yes.
Our world has got deep sources of conditioning
Yes.
to it. And the Upanishads afford us a window into the possibility of freedom within that condition. That's what interested me in these texts. And so I wrote a book on the Isha Upanishad and now on the
Yeah,
Brihadarankya.
if you can show the book a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah. Time steps of the cosmic hordes. Now, coming to the hordes imagery, it's very interesting. And you also talked about in one of your talks about the sacrifice, which is what we have to sacrifice to get back to the origin from where we started. And Sri Aurobindo also talks about in karma yoga, especially, that just doing karma makes no sense until and unless it becomes yajna, a process of sacrifice, right? Because we are doing karma every day, we are getting up, brushing our teeth, but that's the mundane work. But for greater karmic work, we have to have this the fire burning inside. The so if you can just come to
Yes,
these
thank you.
cosmic steps
Yeah,
and the
that,
hordes imagery.
yes, yes. So, exactly. So, Vedic society is ritually controlled, and for everything you have a ritual, and they use the term yagya for that.
Yeah.
And so, when you're born, there's a ritual for birth. It's as if, for you to really be accepted as being born, you need
Yes.
that ritual. You need a ritual for your coming of age,
Flourishing in life.
yeah, everything,
Yeah.
yeah, and
Crops and
ultimately
everything.
dying.
Yeah.
Yeah, public rituals
Yes.
like crops,
Yes.
and ultimately all these rituals are under the umbrella of the emperor. That
Correct.
is the state ritual. The state ritual is how somebody is going to control the polity, and that is essentially the work of the Chakravartin.
The body
Chakravartin
politic.
means, yeah, the body politic. Chakravartin means he who turns the wheel. Chakra
Yeah.
is, and Vartate is to
Yes.
turn.
Turn.
So he who turns the wheel. This is a solar image.
Yes.
So just like the sun, in a way, with its power, turns all the planets. Or the turning of the wheel also has to do with the turning of the chariot wheel, which
Yes.
is also a solar image, because the sun in its chariot is uh, pervading the cosmos, going around the cosmos. All the others are also going around the sun, etc. So that kind of an idea that we find with the Veda, where everything is ritualized, is being challenged, because that kind of an idea where everything is ultimately controlled by some sort of ritual that is being done by performed as a surrogate by the Brahmins, giving them the authority over the entire running of the state and your life, is being challenged by the Upanishads. It's also being challenged by the Gita. And you mentioned about Sri Aurobindo, but
Yes.
Sri Aurobindo ultimately is drawing from the Gita, the very interesting and important hymn in the Gita, uh, Brahmarpanam, Brahmahavi,
Brahmahavi. Yeah.
Brahmagno, Brahmanahutam.
Whatever
So,
you're doing with the sacrifice, everything
yeah,
is that
is Brahman.
your Brahman only.
Yes. So this idea is a Upanishadic idea.
Yes,
Gita
absolutely.
is repeating that idea. And basically what it's saying is that yes, there's a ritual going on,
Yeah.
but it's not so. There are two. It's distancing itself from the empirical idea that you're alone and you're doing whatever you're doing for your ego's satisfaction. And it's also distancing itself from the ritual idea that you are doing whatever you're doing because some prescription has told you have to do it in this way.
Yes.
It's distancing itself from both these ideas, and it's making you realize that there is some sort of infrastructure to the processes of the world, which is,
Absolutely.
the Isha Upanishad ends with that. Oh, will remember that
Yes.
which was done, remember.
Yes. Yes.
Kratosmara, Kritosmara.
Kritasmara.
So that which was done, this is the key to what was done. This is known in Vedic terms as the sacrifice of Purusha. And this sacrifice that was carried out by emperors to establish their kingdom, this is the ritual that, as I said, it's the ritual, the one ring that controls all rings.
Rings,
It's
yes.
the ritual under which all other rituals
Yes.
are held. That was the ritual of the horse.
Right.
So the ritual of the horse was that the king, the emperor, the one who wanted to be the emperor of the entire subcontinent sent out a horse to
Ashwamedha.
Ashwamedha, right?
Yeah.
Send the horse to the neighboring kingdoms, and if the neighbor, first they announced that they're doing that, if the neighbor accepted the overlordship of this person, of this emperor, then they would do honor to the horse.
Right.
They would, fet it, celebrate it, and give it free reign over its kingdom. But if it challenged it, if it didn't, then it sent a challenge.
Right.
And then there would be war between the two states.
Yeah.
In any case, through 1 year, the horse
Would roam around.
roamed around, and if it got free, wherever it got free entry, that became the extent of the enlarged empire of the emperor. At the end of the year, so the year was like a unit, unit of time, and it's related to the sun, of course.
Yes.
So the horse is really like the movement of the sun, you see. And at the end of that, the horse was sacrificed, killed, and its meat was eaten.
Right.
So that is, and there are other elaborate ritual, elements to that. But in any case, because this was the major ritual, the Brihadarankya Upanishad is starting with that. It's starting with this idea, but it's transforming the idea into a symbol for cosmic realization.
So we are moving from phenomenology to cosmology.
Right, right. Actually, we're moving from ritual to phenomenology and ontology.
Ontology.
Yeah.
Right.
And you see, so that's why this book begins with the first stanza of this book is a description of the horse as the cosmos. You see?
Yeah.
So, and if you want, I can read that.
Yeah, if you can just tell us the symbolism of the Usha
Yeah.
and where the Agni comes in, the fire from the horse's mouth, and the eyes representing the Aditya, Sri Aditya,
Yes,
and Aditi, coming from which is not two.
yes, yes. So Sri Aurobindo has translated that first stanza. He actually has translated the first two stanzas of the Brihad. That's all he translated. It's
Yes,
unfinished work, but it's a very interesting translation because it gives us the image of the cosmos as the horse.
yes,
Dawn is the head of the horse sacrificial. The sun is his eye. His breath is the wind. His wide open mouth is fire. The master might universal. Time is the self of the horse sacrificial. Heaven is his back, and the midworld his belly. Earth is his footing. The regions are his flanks, and the lesser regions their ribs. The seasons his members. The months and the half months are their joints. The days and nights are his standing place. The stars his bones, and the sky is the flesh of his body. When he stretches himself, then it lightens. When he shakes his frame, then it thunders. When he urines, then it rains. Speech verily is the sound of him.
wonderful. This is from the Upanishads only, quote unquote.
This is the first stanza of the Brihadarankya Upanishad.
So it basically starts with the constitution of the cosmos only.
Exactly. It's the constitution of the cosmos, and if we look at it a little more carefully, you can actually parse it, you can
Yeah.
structure it.
Yes,
So, first he starts with the dawn, as you said, Usha,
yes,
which is really the sun coming into the world. As it is coming, you see it first as
yes,
dawn.
yes,
And the sun is the symbol of like, so the Vedic imagery shows cosmology has day and night,
yes,
and they talk about it in terms of pravritti and nivritti. So there is a cycle of manifestation and a cycle of absorption. So from the cycle of absorption, a new manifestation arises.
yes,
And so this is the coming of the sun, at first as a dawn. And as it comes, there are three gods that first manifest. And those are the gods that are mentioned as the organs, or the organs of the head. So the sun is his eye. See, the sun is the Aditi.
Aditya,
Actually,
Sri
yeah,
Aditya,
it's the Aditya.
Aditya,
Aditya. The breath is the wind is Vayu.
Vayu,
See, and wide open mouth is fire is Agni.
yes.
So we are being told that
So you have actually touched the senses and the faculties as well
yeah,
with this.
yeah, that these particular faculties are the homes of the three major gods. These three major gods are solar gods. The wind sounds like a kind of a different thing, but it's also a solar god.
In the pantheon of gods.
Yeah, because the sun is the god in the heaven world, and the wind is the god in the mid world, the antariksha, the light world, and fire is the god in the world of matter.
Yes.
See? So those are the three gods, and then you see that he describes these three worlds. Heaven is his back, so it's the top part. You see, heaven is the world of the sun, which is the mind world. It's called Daos.
Those.
Daos.
Yes.
And then mid-world is his belly, that is Antariksha.
Yes.
And earth is his footing, which is Prithvi. So
Yes.
the feet are on in
Touching the
matter.
ground.
Yeah.
Matter.
The mid-world is his belly, is the region of life, and head is the region of the mind. Back is the region of the mind. You see, so those are the three worlds, and that's how it's giving us this cosmic image. And then you find the other, so these are the vertical elements. You see the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. There's a verticality to them.
Yes.
The back, the belly, and the foot. There's a verticality to them.
The Panchatattvas also have this verticality.
Verticality, right?
Yes.
but there's also a horizontality. Then they're going to talk about the directions and all those, which are
Yes.
the horizontality.
Yes.
So cosmos has got both. Cosmos
Yes.
has got a spread and a ascension.
Yeah.
So this is the way the horse is described, and then in the second adhyaya, just after this, the second stanza, the horse disappears, and you are face to face with death. And as I see it, as I read it, this is the sacrifice.
This is a sacrifice.
In other words, they are not telling you that a sacrifice is being done, but they are plunging you into the phenomenology of the sacrifice.
Beautifully put. Yeah.
See, you start experiencing as if you are the horse that has been sacrificed.
So internalization of the symbols.
Internalization of the symbol. You are now in a state of death.
Yes.
And yet, there is nothing really called death.
Death. Yes.
Death itself is a state of nivritti.
Yes.
And from the state of nivritti, the elements are going to rise again. And that is, it started by talking about work.
Yes.
That is the work
That is
of
the work.
cosmos. The
Yes.
entire cosmos is trying to reconfigure the image of the horse, and every individual in the cosmos is an agent in that reconfiguration and has creative agency in that and choice in that reconfiguration.
Yeah.
That is how the Upanishad sees it.
To push the dossier through.
Exactly. And
I
so that there is, in a sense, that the gods that were configured in the Ashva, in the horse, have become now fragmented, and they are present in every individual, and these are one could say, the cosmic powers that are behind us. So individuals are not just separate individuals, but individuals are being propelled by these aspirations of the gods in their various faculties. And if we connect with them, then we become agents towards this reconstitution of unity. That's the work that's going on.
And I was going through some of your lectures on it where you talked about the gradual progression and also the loss of appearance to get to that state of selfhood,
Yeah.
which I think is very important to understand this present context.
Right.
And if you could tell me about or tell us about the three different layers which we have. We have discussed the phenomenology, the cosmology, as well as the ontic self, ontology. But at the same point of time, you talked about void as a kind of a portal between the known and the unknown, and then there is the third, which is the unknowable.
Right.
So if you can,
Yeah.
little.
Absolutely. And that's also one of the innovations of the Upanishads.
Yes.
Because it's trying to open us to something unborn, something that is infinite and hasn't and will never fully appear. So we have and it's also related to these zones.
Anantam.
Anantam, yeah. We are related to the zones of what are called the avasthas in the Mandukya Upanishad.
Yes.
The known, the waking self, the dreaming self, the
Deep sleep, the deep sleep.
Yeah,
And then the Turiya.
that turiya.
Yeah.
Right. So here we find that what is known by us is the waking world. We know it by our senses and our understanding, and
Yes.
we piece together that knowledge. What is unknown is the potential of that world, which is actually the dreaming world. The Upanishads see that the subtle worlds, by dreaming is not just meant when we sleep, what we dream, but when in trance, what we come across, the subtle worlds, the words that are background of this world.
Yes.
But they're still formed. They're already there as the potential of this world.
Yeah.
So it's like more of the same, like it can be more enhanced. Like, for example, technology, right?
Pashanti stage, no?
Yeah. So in technology, what is happening is that we are extending our faculties,
Yes.
and so it's all within the realm of imagination. I cannot see 1,000 miles with my eyes, but I can imagine that I can see 1,000 miles with my eyes, and then because I can imagine it, I can build a machine that can do that. You see, so it's within the realm of the unknown. That is a projection of the known. It's the potential of the known.
It is a potential of the known,
Yeah,
and potentiality comes here.
exactly. But what is outside of that?
Yes.
What is outside of our deepest imaginings, that which has not yet even entered as potential, that is there in the zone of the unknowable. So they introduce that because reality is radically infinite. It is not a bound infinite. The known and the unknown belong to the world of the bound infinite. Firstly, the known is that horizontal element that we were talking about. It's the spread of the world. That's also an infinity. It's an infinite plane of knowing. We are still trying to know what is going on in the world. Then there is the bound infinity of the unknown. That is what we talked about as the three zones of the horse. You know, the footing, the belly, and the back, etc. Life, mind, and body or matter. These are the potentia of our knowledge, and so they are also. Each one of them is infinite. That whole world is infinite. But it's a bound infinite because
In physics, we are coming to these kind of terms now,
exactly,
bounded
exactly,
infinite.
bounded infinity.
Yeah.
But there is an unbounded infinity and
Yes.
a kind of radical infinity.
Yes.
That is that. So that's what they're saying is that reality is radically infinite. It has to have an unknowable to it.
Yes.
We cannot put a ceiling on knowledge. And so when we're talking about pravritti and nivritti, manifestation and its self-absorption,
Yes.
every time, we think about this, that is the structure of time.
Yes.
The structure of time is the pulsations of manifestation and absorption.
Yes.
And this is happening cosmically, it is happening in our life, and it is happening in
With every breath.
moment, in
Every breath.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes.
That is the phenomenology
Yes. Yes.
of time.
Yes.
See? So, time steps, when we are talking about time steps,
Yes.
these first two stanzas are already giving us the phenomenology of the
Beautiful.
time steps.
Beautiful. And I just happen to remember these three things because in Tibetan Book of the Dead, you also talk about the bardos,
Yes.
the different transitive states.
Yes.
And there is this concept of the Shogun Shakar,
Yeah.
which we worship. Then you have also the Shogun Nirakar,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then you have the Nirgun Nirakar.
Yes.
So these are like the known,
Similar.
unknown, and unknowable.
Yeah, it's similar.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, yeah. But what I just wanted to add to that is that every time there is a nivritti,
Yes.
whenever there's a pravritti, that is the expansion, it's like the expanding universe.
Yes.
It's the expansion of the potential of the unknown.
Yes.
It's expanding. But every time it is absorbed,
Retracting back.
it retracts back to the unknowable.
Yes.
So in other words, in every moment, there is something completely new that has never been manifest, a potential that was never known that is appearing.
Yes, and that's I think this entire kriya, this creative faculty
Yes.
of Brahman,
Yes.
and this
is the creative
creative
faculty
faculty of and so therefore it's a creative evolution.
Exactly.
Every moment a new thing. It doesn't repeat itself.
Yes,
That's why in Zen they say unrepeatable patterns.
yes, yes. And the philosopher Gilles Deleuze,
Yes,
adapting Nietzsche, uses the term the eternal recurrence of difference.
yes, yes, and yeah, that's the cosmic plan, if I might say.
Yes.
So I think everyone would like to read this. This is available on Amazon, and people would like to read it, and people can also attend the talks and some of the things which are online, and converse on this. And as you said, that this is part of contemplative philosophy, right?
Yes.
So I think with that note, we can end this particular conversation. But it was a very fertile conversation in the sense that we covered many topics in a very small time. One more thing which I just had in mind, like an intuitive thing, when you talked about the vertical and the horizontal, um, does it somehow remind you of the symbolism of the cross?
Yes, absolutely, it does. Yeah. That is the symbolism of the cross.
Yeah.
The soul of man, the soul of the human is at the center,
Yes.
tied,
Yes.
nailed in a way
Nailed.
that
Nailed.
the nailing
And
is
therefore, that nailing becomes very important.
very important.
Crucifixion.
It's crucified.
Yes.
It's nailed to the cross.
Yes.
And the cross are that's the ritual. That's why we have to recognize the fact that we're not independent in doing whatever we want.
Yes.
And at the same time we are not stuck in some ritual.
Yes.
But cosmically we are nailed to the horizontal and the vertical.
Yes.
You see, we have to rise and we have to manifest.
Yes.
Both these things are going on.
Yes. Thank you very much. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.